Stall out front, he scores!
I worked with a guy in college that has a much more refined goal call than this guy. Minnesota, are you hiring? What is going on, everybody? JD here, and welcome to this edition of the American Oiler Recap Show, brought to you, yes, by an American. Now, we've got a lot to gripe about this week, a lot to get to, but first, couple roster moves to throw out there for you. Griffin Reinhart, remember him? Signed with Kunlun Red Star over in the KHL. Remember when he was supposed to be the future of our defensive core? Yeah, let's just throw that out the window right now. Logan Day, back from long-term injury, is assigned to Bakersfield. Josh Archibald, placed on injured reserve, broke his foot last week. And Gaetan Haas called up from Bakersfield to fill that hole left by Archibald. Now, we've got to have a conversation about this game in Minnesota. The Oilers conceded 3 goals in the first period, and up to that point had gone 152 minutes and 38 seconds without a goal. Come on, boys. Come on now. The top line cannot carry you for the rest of the season. Now, this brings me to a point that I really did not want to be discussing in week 4 of the season. When is the bottom 6? Really, you could call it the bottom 9, but the bottom 6, when are they going to get on the scoreboard? I put a small asterisk next to Yurcho because he does have 2 assists, but I'm pretty sure he was playing next to Nugent Hopkins when he was doing that. I'm pretty sure one of them was on the power play as well, so that it doesn't exactly count as bottom 6. When is something going to change? Does Ken Holland break from his philosophy of over-ripening prospects, of making sure they are ready to go at the top flight and then bring them up? Does he break from that? Do you start to see a Kylie Yamamoto? Do you see Tyler Benson? Do you see a Cooper Marody come up in the short term? Maybe it's not even short term. Maybe they slide in permanently. Depends on what they would do at the top tier. Do you see him start to deviate from that? I don't think so. Holland's been around for a while. He carried Detroit for a number of years doing this same method, letting guys sit in the American League, sit in the East Coast League if it came to that, and bringing them up when they were ready. I mean, Detroit was in the playoffs for almost a quarter century consecutively. Why not exercise a little bit of patience here, folks? Now, I get that the culture in Edmonton is to win. They had their run in the 80s, and then that look at the 05-06 Stanley Cup against Carolina. But come on now, this team is not equipped to win. Look at the players they're fielding in the bottom 6. Jujhar Khaira hasn't figured himself out. He had a great 16-17 and has fallen apart. Patty Russell, I'm all on this kid to score. Hasn't figured it out. Riley Sheehan has honestly been the best one of them, but he was brought in to kill penalties and hoped that he would chip in, 10 goals on the season. Hasn't happened, obviously. The kill's great, don't get me wrong, but some scoring needs to happen, and I still haven't figured out what the hell Marcus Granlund is supposed to be doing. But also in games like these, you have to take a look at the defensive core and see what they're doing. I mean, they're doing their best. Ethan Bear is holding his own. Oscar Klefbom's playing 25 minutes a night. Brandon Manning, kind of worried about him slotting in. Can we see Lagesson, please? That's one name I would actually like to see. I think he's ready to go at the top tier. And then you got to look at the goaltending. They've been fantastic this year. I mean, Mike Smith still had an even .900 save percentage in this game. Sure, while allowing 3 goals on 30 shots. And Koskinen seems to have figured himself out as well. Just an absolute stinker in Minnesota. And yeah, that's going to happen. But when the team you're facing is in the bottom of the division, of the Central Division, come on now. Try a little bit. I'm not saying they're not trying. They look disinterested at some points throughout that game. Maybe I'm reading them wrong. Maybe Minnesota's better than they're putting on so far this season. Just not a good showing on the road in St. Paul. So then the Oilers returned home to face my hometown team, the Washington Capitals, who is honestly one of the most complete teams in the league. 1 through 12 on the offensive front, 1 through 6 on the back end, and they've got 2 goaltenders that Todd Reardon is more than comfortable to throw out on any given night. Obviously, in a high caliber matchup such as this, you're going to see Braden Holtby, but Samsonov is not one to shake a stick at. Washington boasted the then NHL points leader John Carlson leading that defensive core. Alex Ovechkin obviously has a deadly slap shot no matter where you are in the ice. Jacob Vrana has figured out how to skate really well, and Washington can hit you from all 4 lines on the ice. And this game goes to show that the top line is going to have to carry in these high-profile games, but also should demonstrate that they should not be depended on to carry every single game of the year. Draisaitl scores twice, McDavid with a goal, and Darnell was lucky with an own goal in the first period. The defense completely fell asleep in the third, conceding 3 goals. Edmonton had to claw back in the third period to force overtime, and at that point it's game over. You give Edmonton an overtime scenario, they are going to win. It's just facts. Except for that game in Winnipeg. I've just recalled that game in Winnipeg. Please get an airport. But enough griping. Leon Draisaitl, the man's a sniper. Please go to battle for me, Leon Draisaitl. Absolute beauty up and over the shoulder of Braden Holtby. And Connor McDavid, I'm going to be honest with you, that goal should not have gone in. Fights it through the defense, pokes it through Braden Holtby. It's going in anyways. Nugent Hopkins was there to clean it up, as well as I think a Capitals player was ready to take the own goal as well. Now, the Oilers honestly have the best three on in the entire NHL. Connor, Leon, and then take your pick of Oscar Darnell or Ethan Bear. Pretty open first minute of that overtime period. Alex Ovechkin took a shot on Mikko Koskinen. Nick Backstrom ran it around the net. Honestly, should have had the game won on that wraparound. Good coverage from Darnell and Leon to get back, and then the break was on. And when that break goes, you are not stopping it. Leon to McDavid, and then back for the one-timer. This game goes in favor of the Oilers. They pick up the extra point at home. OT win, 4-3 over my hometown team. But don't get me wrong, y'all. Oilers fan right here. Oilers. Still like the Capitals. Now, honestly, there's not a lot to say about the last game of this homestand. Florida's not a bad team. 5-2-4. Those 4 OT losses are real interesting to me. Not just a poor outing from the Oilers. Talk about disinterested hockey. I mentioned that about the Minnesota game. This game was worse. Absolutely nothing going really from the top line. Leon 1-1-2, McDavid an assist on the game. James Neal scored, so he's back in the goal column, but nothing else up and down the lineup. Oscar Klefbom almost 30 minutes on the ice. Connor 23-10 on the ice, and just a very poor outing from Mike Smith. He was great in the first 8 minutes, and then it fell apart. Only stayed on the ice for 22.5 minutes, 3 goals allowed on 13 shots. Koskinen didn't do much better in relief, 2 goals on 15 shots. There was an empty netter in there somewhere in the third period as the Oilers were trying to gain some sort of ground back on the game. Just an overall very poor performance on home ice. No longer undefeated at Rogers, which really was a sanctuary for the Oilers, winning 6 games in a row. As I said earlier, these stinker games happen. You just don't want them to happen back to back to back. Now, they had that scrap win with the Capitals midweek, but you really don't want a boxcar with 2 poor games, and then you have to go on a long road trip. Now let's jump down to the farm quickly. Wichita only one result, a Friday night contest against the Idaho Steelheads, a 4-3 win in overtime for the Thunder, a 3-point night for Chris Crane. Ostap Safin scored the game's first goal in the first period, second goal of the season for him, his second point of the season as well. And then the OT winner from Jack Combs sees Wichita finish this game out on the positive side of things. Condors, 3 games throughout the last week. First game at home, Mechanics Bank Arena, $5 margarita night. If you're interested in that sort of thing. Ontario came to town. The Condors dropped this game 2-1. First period goal from Caleb Jones, his first of the year. Not enough to see the rain off. 2 second period goals from them. And Cal Peterson, oh my goodness, what a goaltender. 35 saves on 36 shots. That's a goaltender that's going to win night in and night out. And then the home and home against Stockton. An 11-round shootout on Friday night. Stockton shooting first in each shootout round. Scores 3 of them. The Condors answer with 3 goals of their own. And then in the bottom of the 11th, Colby Cave finally sees this one off. Great call from Holtby. Condors take the game on the road. They turn around Stranger Things night at Mechanics Bank Arena. Again, if you're into that, I get hounded that I need to watch it. Should I watch it? Put that in the comments. 6-3 loss. Not a great night for the Condors. Cooper Marody gets his first and second goal of the season. Caleb Jones picks up his second as well. But 3 goals in the second, 2 in the third from Stockton. See them win on the road. Last week's results see the Edmonton Oilers staying in first place in the Pacific Division, 8-3-1, good for 17 points, a point clear of Vegas at 8-5-0, 2 points clear of Arizona and Vancouver, both at 7-3-1. Anaheim with 14 points, Calgary as well with 14 points, San Jose and the LA Kings route out the Pacific Division. Bakersfield still sitting 5th place in the Pacific Division. Stockton holds that top spot. Ontario, followed by Tucson, Colorado, San Jose, and San Diego. Don't think that's changed from last week. And then to the East Coast League, the Mountain Division, Idaho holds firm the top of that league. Rapid City, followed by Allen, Utah. Wichita holds 5th place. Then Tulsa and the Kansas City Mavericks. Upcoming schedule, the Oilers on their first back-to-back of the year. They're in Detroit tonight. That's a 7:30 Eastern puck drop. They turn it around. They're in Columbus the next night. Saturday, they're in Pittsburgh, a 1 p.m. Eastern puck drop at PPG Paints Arena. Then Monday night, they host the Arizona Coyotes. Late start. I'll be watching that one the next day. The Condors go on the road tomorrow morning. That's an 11 a.m. Pacific start. They're at the SAP Center against the San Jose Barracuda before going to Ontario Friday night and Saturday night. A couple of late games I'll be more than happy to stay up for those. And Wichita, 3 games in 3 days. They're in Kansas City for a pair of games at the Silverstein Ice Center's arena before they come home to Intrust Bank Arena to host the Kansas City Mavericks. That is going to do it for this episode of the American Oiler Recap Show. Will not bore you with the like and subscribe pitch. Would sure appreciate you if you did. But for now, no matter what country you're in, this is Oil Country.